Hello everyone, and welcome back to another session of Dark Souls 2 PvP and another weapon showcase. This time I am using the Giant Stone Axe, and I've got to say, even before the patch, this weapon was a very good weapon, and it really didn't need too much of a buff in my opinion. It did not do very much damage in comparison to its weight, and they did fix that with the patch, but there is still a slight problem that I've got with this weapon, and it's not something you would expect from such a heavy weapon. But more on that later. Getting started with the Giant Stone Axe, this weapon requires 45 strength and 8 dexterity in order to wield. It has an A scaling in strength and no dexterity scaling. The physical base damage when fully upgraded is 400, and its attack rating for me is 595 with a Ring of Blades plus 2. The counter strength of this weapon is 100, the poise damage is 50 per hit, and the weight is 25 units. Now, this weapon, as I said, is a really good weapon, and it's one that I've enjoyed for a while now. It is really good with its combo ability for a weapon of this size, considering the fact that both its one-handed R1s and two-handed R1s are a guaranteed two-hit combo. So, that's a good thing. That, plus the ability to throw in jumping attacks and throw in some R2s to mix it up a little bit, it is a pretty good weapon and is very good at, well, doing what it does, and that's not really being much of an axe, but being more like a hammer and smacking people around, sort of crushing them with it. That being said, we've got a slight problem with this weapon, and that would be on its critical damage. The critical modifier for this weapon is really pathetic. I don't know how many times I've parried someone, got a guard break, got a backstab on someone, and it doesn't do very much damage. I think the highest that I've ever hit with this weapon was just under 1500 on a critical. I mean, come on. Come on. There are other heavy weapons that do way more damage than that on criticals, and, it really makes it seem like going for a critical isn't always worth it with this weapon. I do feel as though they probably should patch that at some point, but who knows. If they do, that's great. If they don't, then oh well, it's still a very good weapon with a good moveset and decent speed behind it, and it's fun to use. It's very fun to use. You get this weapon by using the Soul of the Last Giant, and that's also something I've got a problem with about this weapon. I feel like instead of making an axe that is never used by an enemy in the game, you should get a hammer that resembles the giant's arm that he tears off mid-fight. But again, I didn't make the design decision here, so it is what it is. Maybe there's some sort of hidden lore point where the giant that you use the soul to get the weapon from, at one point in time back in the past used a giant axe. But, none of the giants use this weapon at all, whenever we see them, even back in the memories. So, who knows? All I know is that it doesn't make much sense to me, but it still gives us a pretty decent weapon, so I'm totally okay with it. Now, before the patch, I only had an attack rating with this thing of around 520, and its attack rating really didn't reflect the damage output at the time. Now it actually does match up with what you would expect, and that is relatively okay considering the 25 units for the weight. One thing I do have to say about it, it is, what's the best way to say this? It's a bit predictable. It's really predictable. It's incredibly predictable, and it will get you punished. What you need to do in a lot of cases with this weapon is to actually bait the attacks. Now, that being said, even if you do bait the attacks, in a lot of cases, it's not going to do too much for you, considering people's defenses and how much damage you'll do on average. I mean, on average, I'm hitting between 300 and 500 with it. Against certain weapons, it's not a good idea to trade hits. Oh, like trading hits with a buffed katana, for example. Not really a good idea at all, ever. But anyway, enough of that. Overall, very fun weapon. That was very strange. I wonder what that was from. Overall, it's a very fun weapon, and I do enjoy using it, despite the cons of the weapon being the fact that it's slow, predictable, and relatively easy to parry if you're one-handing it. I have a good time with it, and I find it very useful for punishing people who just spam at the parry with the Monastery Scimitar, because you can easily get another extra hit on them, because it's two-handed R2s, or two-handed R1s rather, are a guaranteed 2-hit combo. So it means good things. It means very good things, and a loss of about, on average, 1,000 health for the person spamming away. But anyway, this is the last fight in the video. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, found it helpful in one way or another. Sorry if that was a little bit rambly. It's just the way it is sometimes. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you guys next time.